his warrior ferocity on the mat, Cael Sanderson remains unassuming and self-effacing off it.
It's not Cael Sanderson, the elite wrestler. It's just the punk kid down the street. He hasn't changed at all. It's the same kid. He doesn't think he's neater than anybody. He doesn't think that it's a privilege for us to be around him. He's just Cael.
He had his girlfriend out here, and I asked his dad if they were having fun, and his dad said, well, Cael's having fun, but I'm not sure if his girlfriend is. And I said, how come? And he says, well, he's taking her fishing 4 days in a row. And Cael was raised in a family of boys, and he doesn't really know what girls like, and so he does what he likes, you know, and she went fishing with him for 4 straight days.
I did a story about the Cael Sanderson bobblehead doll to ask him whether he thought that the bobblehead doll looked like him. And he says, well, it's ugly and I'm ugly, so I guess it does look like me.
He's always seemed so quiet and so reserved, and he's not really that way. I mean, as soon as the camera shuts down, he'll be off goofing around somewhere. Very seldom do you see that on TV.
Sometimes it's almost uncomfortable because you don't know if he's serious or if he's sarcastic, but that's just something that goes with the territory. You got to get to know Cael and understand his satire.
While Sanderson tries to stay loose, he uses art as the ultimate escape from the pressures of what he faces on the mat.
In college, it's been his release, you know. It's a way for him, I think, to explore different parts of his personality and, you know, to really say to himself inside, I'm not just a wrestler. I can be a great artist. I can be whatever I want to be, and I love art, and so I'm going to be good at it.
You don't see Cael as an individual who is very outgoing for the most part. He is quite introverted, and that may be his outlet. That may be one way to express himself.
He's a very creative guy. He's a creative guy on the mat. He's very serious about his artwork. But wrestling is a 12-month-a-year thing for even the, junior high kids.
I love doing a lot of different things other than wrestling, but it's kind of hard too. I mean, I have a hard time not thinking about wrestling. I mean, that's who I am.
As collegiate wrestling's greatest performer, Sanderson will need to win an Olympic gold medal if he's to stay on the same historic level as Dan Gable. In that regard, he's not lacking for motivation, having failed to qualify for the 2000 U.S. Olympic team as a freestyle novice.
In freestyle, you are not going to help yourself out by exposing your back. And in college wrestling, he's able to do that. And I know there are a lot of situations where Cael scores that he won't be in as a freestyler.
When he was training for the World Championships, what I saw was a guy going out, not protecting anything, but the exact opposite, very reckless. And I was surprised to see some of his opponents getting the best of him in certain situations, but it's because he put himself in those positions.
There are those that do have some doubts about his international capabilities. If Cael doesn't make it at that level, then I suppose there'll be that question mark. Well, how great was he really?
You don't know what's inside him, whether he's going to want to win as many world championships as John Smith or as many Olympic medals as Bruce Baumgartner. I don't know. He's a guy who's got other interests, and who knows where it'll take him.
Cael Sanderson won the 187-pound freestyle title at the U.S. team trials in the summer of 2001 and was prepared to represent America at the World Championships in New York. But their postponement was forced by the terrorist attacks of September 11, and the tournament was rescheduled for Bulgaria in late November. That overlapped with Iowa State's schedule, and Sanderson chose to continue his collegiate domination. The international wrestling community will have to wait a while longer to see for itself what all the commotion is about. For College Sports Century, I'm Chris Fowler.
Take by Lewis there, wound up on his back. Thompson now with that escape by Lewis. It's 5-3, and Thompson in on the leg, but now Lewis has an opportunity to score. You can see how Thompson is stretched out, Adrian. That's all the difference when you counter. You're not as strong when you're stretched out. You become vulnerable, and Lewis is trying to get around the corner.
Shouldn't say John Smith doesn't like the points, but he's just a very demanding man, and he thought that his wrestler Thompson at 133 had Lewis dead to rights. Jay Robinson, the head coach from Minnesota.
The main object in wrestling is to pin your opponent. Get them on their back and stick them. It ends the match. It doesn't matter what the score was.
So quickly things can change. Here's where he picked up the 2 paints. Look at his strength and speed.
Lewis got what we call being a little high on your opponent, over the top, and Thompson took full advantage. And there, you don't coach that. That is unique individual talent that did that for Johnny Thompson. Picked up that back point, a 4-point move, jumped out into the lead.
We're back in live time. Lewis, the #1 ranked 133-pound wrestler in the nation, is down by 2 points and on his hands and knees. Johnny Thompson from Oklahoma State trying to hang on to a slim 2-point lead.
Now
Lewis desperate now.
Lewis looking to counter, get out of legs, turn around here and try to catch him on his back. He might now get some back points. But it looks like just an escape out of all that movement.
Even one.
And there, all that motion, you said in the open how difficult and how little you get for all the work you do. Well, there it was. Lewis did all that work. He came up with no points. Now Thompson with a front headlock. Let's see if he's able to use this hold to score some points.
70 seconds left for Ryan Lewis, down by 1 point, #1 in the nation. Looking for a national title. Add more to Minnesota's overall team lead.
And a minute to go. Minnesota fans want a stall call.
No points outside the circle. Now time for John Smith and his athlete, Johnny Thompson.
Johnny! Pat Smith, the only 4-time NCAA champion in college history, but he did have 5 losses along with his 121 wins. But he is right now the most unique wrestler in the United States. He's the only one to have done it to this point.
Johnny! Johnny! You gotta shoot!
Johnny, you gotta shoot. Johnny, you can win this match. That from Pat Smith and his brother John with 50 seconds left now, and his wrestler Thompson on top by only 1 point.
The reason he told him to shoot is don't settle for just defensive wrestling. Stay aggressive. Don't shut it down too quick.
In other words, shoot for the knees, shoot for the ankles. Get underneath Ryan Lewis, which is what he's done here now.
Lewis looking to try to stretch him out and break the grip, but unable to do so. And perhaps that's Thompson's best thing, is to get in on his legs and just hang on. Lewis is having a problem breaking the lock of Johnny Thompson. Thompson being able to kill the clock underneath his opponent. Oh, and there's a chance. If Lewis could turn the corner.
What a lift this is going to be for Oklahoma State. This would be a huge upset of Ryan Lewis. No points. Oklahoma State pulls the 1-point episode over Ryan Lewis. Congratulations to John Smith, but they sweat that one out. A disappointed Jay Robinson. He had to think Ryan Lewis was going to be at least a 3 to 4 point winner in this match. A disappointed Ryan Lewis on the match. How about Johnny Thompson? I thought he had injured the inside of his left knee when they took that timeout with about 21 seconds left to go. But he didn't just hang on, Jeff. He came back very aggressive.
Whatever ailed him, he came back very focused after that timeout. He did not give up a mistake. That perhaps the difference in this match was Ryan Lewis making a mistake leading to a 4-point move. And right at the end here, Lewis tried to step over Thompson, put the heels in and try to clamp him on his back, but Thompson, very good at countering, great balance, able to get back to his knees, hang onto the leg, kill the clock, win the championship.
Hugs for both John and Pat Smith. Probably the first family of wrestling for Johnny Thompson, the national champion at 133.
Wendy's hot and juicy classic double with cheese is made fresh right when you order it, so it tastes better. Wendy's, it's hamburger bliss.
Remember, Wendy's pickup windows open late so you can eat great even late.
How long does Bounce Freshness last?
4 days and days of freshness keeps going. A wonderful feeling with every new day. As time rolls along, the freshness goes on. Day after day after day after day.
Bounce's unique time-release freshness goes on freshening for days.
Long-lasting freshness, day after day.
Bounce, the start of something fresh.
Doesn't it feel good to make that fresh feeling stay?
Nervous about foot odor and wetness? Get Odor Eaters insoles and kick the problem. Odor Eaters gives lasting comfort and durability as it kicks out heavy-duty odor and sweat.
Now put Odor Eaters in, kick foot odor and wetness out.
My life has never been more demanding. And to help keep my mind and body active, there's Centrum Performance. It's a complete multi with higher levels of bees plus ginkgo and ginseng to help re-energize my mind and body.
Centrum Performance. Life demands it.
My father was a sports broadcaster, so I spent many Saturdays thinking about what an experience it might be having an opportunity one day to maybe run out a tunnel. I was 19 years old and I had that opportunity. There were 100,000 people in the stands. And as we came through that tunnel, it started to pack up in front of me, and pretty soon it got kind of congested. You couldn't really understand why things weren't just sprinting out onto the field. So our head coach, Pepper Rogers, doing somersaults right in the middle of the grass. He liked to say that's when he knew his team was ready.
141 pounds now, the classification for Aaron Holker from Iowa State after some of that hardware for hard work. What a day for Bobby Douglas in Iowa State. He could have a wrestler performing a sports first. Stacey Pates is standing by with the head coach.
I'm down here with head coach of Iowa State, Bobby Douglas. Now, Coach Douglas, it's one of the many tasks of a head coach to guard their student athletes. This has been a crazy week with Cael Sanderson. How have you kept him focused this week? I know, as we spoke earlier, you just started feeling the pressure yourself this afternoon. So how did you keep him focused?
Stacey, it's been a difficult task for us. There's a lot of pressure on. We've tried to shield him as best we could. We put one of our administrators in charge of him being like a ballet, and it's his brother, so no one's going to get past his brother.
That's exactly right. We all know what success his brother had, so I think people will be scared of him automatically. Coach, thank you so much. We are looking forward to watching your boy Cael perform.
Thank you, Stacey, and thanks to ESPN for coverage.
Stacey, we got a good scramble going on here in the 41-pound classification. Aaron Holker from Iowa State, one of Bobby Douglas's boys, the number 5 seed here in Albany, New York, against Eric Larkin. 1-2 all-time against Holker.
And it's amazing. Each time one of these athletes threatens the other by putting them on their back, they reverse each other. First Larkin with a cradle gets reversed by Holker, and Holker nearly puts Larkin on his back and gets reversed. These two have been aggressive. This is good wrestling. They're not being too conservative. They're looking to get back points. They're looking to take it to their opponent.
In the first period, same type of thing. 2 points, by 1 point, by 2 points. Very evenly matched situation here.
And again, Larkin getting a little bit too high in his position, riding on top, and has to cut Holker loose. Townsend Saunders, an Olympic silver medalist in '96. You hear him screaming, work, work. Get a takedown in these last seconds.
That was Aaron Holker with his hands on his knees, showing a little bit of fatigue here with 4 seconds left to go in the second period. We'll show you why here in just a second, how hard he worked in the first period. 3-point lead for Iowa State. All right, this is why Bobby Douglas is yelling. This is action from the first period. Look at how aggressive Holker is.
That's Larkin there with that beautiful outside cradle. He's got the knee to the head in a locked position, but it was amazing how Holker on the bottom was able to keep his shoulders from breaking 45 degrees, giving up back points, and then to turn in and actually reverse Larkin. Absolutely tremendous.
Back to live time now. 3-point lead for Iowa State in the person of Aaron Holker. It's interesting to me now in the third period how many different moves, different holds can happen in such a short period of time, especially in this weight classification.
We get lots of flurries. Usually one hold leads to another if you get good movement. And look at these two. Gosh, Larkin trying some funky stuff there, trying to get a nice counter to put Holker on his back, but didn't work out, and he wound up giving up 2 points. And with a minute left and a 4-point lead, It seems as though Holker now is in the driver's seat, and Larkin's going to have to start doing some desperation.
The 1999 NC All-American Aaron Holker from Iowa State. Could be shades of things to come today. We're talking about Cael Sanderson in a 197-pound weight classification. Look at the look of disdain on the face of Eric Larkin from Arizona State. Holker wins this. He'll go 3-1 all time against his opponent, Larkin. Tom Ortiz, not sure quite what to say, except let's go. Obviously has to.
He's saying keep him down. Douglas and Chris Bono, the #1 ranked freestyle wrestler in the country, the assistant coach, were both telling him keep Larkin down. Don't let him to the standing position. Ride him. And right now he's doing a great job. He's got Larkin flat on his belly. And as long as he swings perpendicular here and there, the referees are going to stay away from calling stalling. But
Aaron Holker, the junior from Iowa State, his hometown in Orem, Utah. People looking in today. He's going to go 32-7 overall for the season. And barring a miracle,
it must be something in the water in Utah, because that's where Sanderson's from too. Ryan Lewis, another finalist from Utah. Utah with its fair share.
Bobby Douglas been spending his vacation time in the state of Utah, I think.
And a great job by Holker. By driving Larkin down, it takes the pressure off. Referees aren't looking at him to call stalling, because he's actually taking his opponent to his belly. And here in the last 5 seconds, he knows he's got it. He's got a tight ride on. Larkin down on his stomach, and that's going to do it.
The 2002 Big 12 champion is now the 2002 national champion. Aaron Holker from Iowa State and his head coach Bobby Douglas have reason to stand up and cheer. The handshake to Eric Larkin. Now 1-3 all time against his nemesis from Iowa State. They'll see each other again. They're both juniors.
They're both juniors. We will see them again. And right now it just seems Holker's got Larkin's number, but a year can change.
From 141, we gain weight by 8 to 149 pounds when we return. Oklahoma and Minnesota, the top 2 teams here in Albany, New York, are center stage, center mat when we return on ESPN2. Lawrence from Minnesota, a junior from Standpoint, Idaho.
2-0 you score, and it was Lawrence getting a takedown in the last 2 seconds of the first period to get the lead, and that may be big points in this match. You never want to give up points with just a couple seconds left in a period.
The resume of Jared Lawrence, a junior, 2000 NCAA Freshman of the Year, 2000 All-American, 2001 All-American, Big Ten champion, second at this year's Big Ten championships. And you wonder why Minnesota is on top of the team standings at this point? He up 3-0 over his opponent, Jared Frayer from Oklahoma, a senior.
Minnesota definitely has it going on up there. Their program continuing to grow, but it's always been incremental steps, Adrian. They had some great teams that they thought they were going to have punch through years, and it never happened for them. Let's look at the takedown near the end of the first period, and you see Lawrence able to turn the corner and spin behind. And right there, as he takes him down near the line out of bounds, gets his 2 points.
It's a lot about leverage with that little amount of time left in the first period.
Absolutely, and you're actually forcing it because you know you're running out of time. Back to Minnesota, they had these teams that they always seem to fail in the semifinal rounds, but it was last year, even though they went 0 for 6 in the semis, all 10 placed. This year they have finalists, but you wonder, are the hard lessons going to continue? Will they have a champion? If not, they still are the team champions, but it seems that their program is on a steady rise and doing nothing but getting better.
10 All-Americans for Minnesota at the national championship meet last year. That's an all-time record.
And the same with Oklahoma. Jack Spates came in here, and Oklahoma is back in it. No one, I think, thought that they'd be in second place and nearly within a shot of Minnesota. And the only thing that kept them from being within striking distance are 2 nasty injuries. Waller at 165 for Oklahoma had a default down from an opportunity at 3rd to 6th. And their heavyweight Crump, an All-American last year, devastating knee injury, out, no points.
Very impressed with 5 seconds left in the second period of the stance by Jared Lawrence from Minnesota. Minnesota. By virtue of that fact, he's up 3-0 against Jared Frayer from Oklahoma. Even when Lawrence gets in tight, he really spreads his feet wide.
Yes, he does. Stable platform to operate from. Balance, one of the key ingredients in wrestling. Feel. Many people like to practice, and I remember my high school coach with blindfold. Don't look for your cues. You want to feel them coming and develop that tactile sense. And balance, key ingredient there.
You're listening to Spates, the head coach from Oklahoma, and Jay Robinson, the head coach from Minnesota, commanding their athletes.
With a 3-0 lead here, riding your opponent is certainly a huge advantage. He's carrying 2 body weights, and it can certainly frustrate the opponent in that he can't move as freely as he wants to.
The match at Jared's Square, Frayer versus Lawrence, Oklahoma versus Minnesota. The top 2 teams here at the 2002 NCAA Championship.
Watch for Frayer. Frayer has a good chance to score here, and he's going to get an escape.
1 point. See him go for the left leg. Looking for the takedown, couldn't get it. Quick reaction by Frayer from Oklahoma.
There's the Minnesota bench. Marty Morgan, a national champion from Minnesota, one of the assistant coaches. Joe Russell, the other. But Jay Robinson, he's the mastermind. He's the head coach. But he delegates well.
Stacy's standby. It looks like a golden gopher with 28 seconds left to go is going to add to their overall team total and the overall team lead. Outstanding performance by Jared Lawrence. I mentioned earlier how wide that stance is. The widest by any wrestler I've seen in the championships here tonight.
And anybody can wrestle, and we mean that both figuratively and realistically in terms of any shaped body has the ability and opportunity to compete in wrestling.
You'll see a lot more of the attempt for takedown, and these guys go for their feet because as we get heavier, obviously the wrestlers are going to get taller. Jared Lawrence with another national championship for Minnesota. The individual 149-pound victory.
Great match.
All-American, Big Ten champion, national champion.
And I think the monkey's off the back of the Minnesota program. They got through the semifinal round, and now they're crowning champions.
Frayer tried to get on the back of Lawrence, but couldn't do it.
That's Marty Morgan with Mr. Lawrence.
Look at Marty. Slam the mat.
And Joe Russell.
Got a national champion.
Great job by the Minnesota program and Jared Lawrence.
What relief.
I like the measured response. I like a person who expected to win and went out and did what he thought he could do.
Very few pads, just simply purpose and performance. Go ahead, Stace.
Jared, not an easy competition that time, but 2 points by takedown in the last 2 seconds. They proved to be huge points. Talk about that match. Do you think you were just better technique-wise, or was it pure determination?
No, I think both buzzers about the same. It was just who's going to wrestle all the way through. A couple seconds left. You know, you got to go all the way through that time, no matter what, all the way through the mat. I think that's what made the difference.
Congratulations, you are a national champion.
Thank you very much.
Adrian.
Stacy, Minnesota is loving life. Now, keep your eyes open for Bryan Snyder from Nebraska. We're going to 157 pounds, and all the people from Minnesota stand on their feet and cheer Jared Lawrence. We're all back in Albany, New York at the NCAA National Championships in Oklahoma in the West Regional semifinal. Bryan Snyder in red from Nebraska, the most successful wrestler ever from Lincoln, Nebraska, going up against Luke Becker from Minnesota. A very even match so far. Look at the record, 33-0, undefeated. Bryan Snyder from Nebraska versus the 36-3 young man from Minnesota in gold.
Snyder, the first four-time All-American for the University of Nebraska, runner-up last year, so you got a sense he's hungry. He's been here before, and he didn't get what he wanted. He wants it back. The first period ended 3-3.
Bryan Snyder, a very smart wrestler, knowing just exactly how much mat to use. How did he get his points?
Becker was struck first. Snyder nearly had a takedown, but Becker came right back there, and two for him. and he took the early lead. And there you can see Snyder a little bit frustrated, mad at himself, but Snyder came right back, got behind Becker, worked him towards the edge, and then eventually would knock him down and keep his feet in bounds, earning the takedown, and it ended 3-3.
Highlights, back to live time. Snyder in red. Look how quickly he comes across. Again, I say how much he knows about the distance of the mat. And you made a point earlier on in our first period to me about training internationally and getting out to the edge of the mat there, knowing that's where you can get points.
That's right. A lot of people let up when they see that line, and you can take advantage of it, and so you train to prepare for that. Snyder got an escape at the start of the second period to score 4-3, down to 30 seconds. And Becker, a member of that Minnesota club, Jay Robinson, building a dynasty up there.
It's that hoarse voice that you hear from Jay Robinson about 10 feet away from us. Keep your head down. He's talking to his man, Luke Becker, the 2002 Big Ten champion at 157.
Snyder trying to work there, setting up Becker, but Becker would have none of it.
Nebraska's first four-time All-American, a winning percentage of over 900 at Nebraska.
Career record of 136-10.
The number one seed is going to close out the second period, up by only one. Great effort by Luke Becker. You know, I think by the 2-1 individual record by the wrestlers from Minnesota so far is why Becker, who's going to be down now to start the final and third period, 2 minutes in duration, why he's wrestling so well, because his teammates did so well ahead of him.
Certainly, when everything goes well in front of you, it's much easier to perform well, but I guarantee you, Jay Robinson came from the Iowa program as an assistant to Dan Gable. He knew what made Iowa successful. He transplanted it up to Minnesota. Minnesota is now taking it to a new level. They have now won 2 consecutive championships, and everybody in their room is thinking along the same lines.
2 All-Americans on the mat with practically 90 seconds left to go for a national championship in the 157-pound class.
4-4, no riding time, and Snyder holds a career mark in heads-up matchups against Becker. 5 wins, 1 loss.
With all their accolades, this would be a first national champion for either wrestler. First national championship, I should say.
That's correct.
We're tied at 4.
As I said, Snyder finished second last year, so he knows what it's like to be here and to taste defeat.
Snyder pushing away, trying to keep his distance, just setting his man up, then going for him.
Yeah, he doesn't like to tie up. He moves best from the open position, not from a tie-up.
What kind of move do you expect here, Jeff? Time running out, under 60 seconds now. We're tied at 4.
In the final minute now, I look for Becker to start to increase the intensity, try to make conditioning a factor. But at the same time, if he gets a little too aggressive, Snyder's speed can take advantage of that. Anytime you get overly aggressive, you create angles of opportunity for your opponent. And there's Snyder winding up, and there was the beautiful takedown. Oh, no points. They said they stepped on the line before they went down, but that gives you an idea how quickly Snyder can strike. That was a great double leg. He had Becker walking right into it.
Watch how close they are.
Watch the penetration step. The bobbing got him set up. There the head comes up. Good lifting position. Takes Becker down, but that left-footed step on the line.
Maybe Snyder took one too many steps, but he knows his rhythm. He's got to set him up. Now, look, he's going down even to his knees. Try to get low, and then he shoots.
Becker that time was waiting for him. He had an underhook waiting, and there Snyder trying it again. And Becker's still in bounds. His knee touched out right there.
Boy, they are really playing on the edges here. We're tied at 4 with 7 seconds left to go.
Sometimes that's what's going to separate wrestlers, is getting into positions they're not familiar with. Caution against Becker. False start.
No point deduction, just a warning.
You're allowed 2 cautions. Either for position, if you don't put your foot on the line or in the right starting position on the mat, or for false starts.
All right, 7 minutes is not enough to decide the 157-pound classification.
This is sudden victory. 1 minute period. Whoever gets the first points wins. And it might be Becker. It might be Becker.
Snyder's got to hold on. This would be a huge upset.
Oh! How close was that?
What a tense moment for Bryan Snyder and the coach and team from Nebraska.
And the crowd loves it.
Becker had his opportunity. He had it. But the experience of Snyder brought it back to the middle of the mat.
And the speed. He was able to get that arm in between them again, and that was the leverage that kept him from being taken down by Becker. Kept space, allowed him to turn in.
Undefeated Bryan Snyder, the greatest wrestler, most winningest wrestler.
And the reason Snyder is so aggressive is Becker scored the first points. He's going to have the choice in the tiebreaker. 90% of the time, the down line in the tiebreaker wins. Becker will have that choice.
Winningest wrestler in the history of Nebraska, Bryan Snyder. A bit surprised that we've gone to sudden victory here. 14 seconds left to go. First points win.
Watch for Snyder to take one more shot. He knows he needs the takedown. He does not want to be put in the top position. He knows how difficult it is to win there in the tiebreaker.
Well, that's where we're going.
Becker scored first. He has the choice, and he chooses down.
How much does fatigue become an issue here? We're going into the ninth minute of this match.
I don't think either one of these guys are tired. Both are in exceptional shape. They both warranted being here as finalists, and there it is.
There's an escape for Luke Becker. This has got to be considered the upset of the NCAA so far. All three men in the finals for Minnesota are juniors. What does that say about things to come? Luke Becker, a junior from Minnesota, out of Cambridge, Minnesota, upsets Bryan Snyder, his first loss this year, 33-1, and Bryan Snyder is headed for the curtains.
And that wasn't boos. That was the Minnesota crowd going, Luke. And they love their wrestling team. And that is a big upset. Snyder seemed to have Becker's number, but it was Becker staying in it, taking advantage. And in that tiebreaker, right there, kicking out from Snyder's hold, trying to keep him down. He had separation here in that one-point escape.
When we went to overtime, it looked to me like Bryan Snyder lost some of his zest. Luke Becker all of a sudden had the opportunity on a silver platter.
And for the second year in a row, Snyder has lost in the finals. And you're right, Adrian. It might have just been that he knew he was on top and his chances were slim.
Stacey, this is the upset of the day.
It absolutely is, Adrian, and this truly exemplifies the spirit of the sport of wrestling. Talk about that match.
I just went out there. I wanted to get after him, score the first points, try to stay after him, and I just tried to stay after him the whole match and, do my best. So,
has it hit you yet? You are a national champion. Who do you thank for this?
I thank God. I thank my fans, family, everybody. I mean, it's just amazing. I don't think it's quite sunk in yet, but so it will, I'm sure.
It will, for sure. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, and we're going to talk to another very special man in Dan Gable. Come on over, Dan. He's a bit shy, I think. All the success he's had. He's trying to be a little low-key, but we're not going to let him be low-key today. Dan Gable, thank you so much for taking a chance to talk to us today, taking that opportunity. As we get set to watch Cael Sanderson perform, this is a young man that has finally matched the success that you brought to the sport of wrestling. What do you see in Cael Sanderson's future?
Well, I see a lot. He's done a lot to help promote the sport. He's got a unique style that's entertaining. It's aggressive. He's always, scoring points. People like to watch him. He can do nothing but help the sport. Now, he hasn't won this match yet. So, it's real critical that he wins this match just to not make the same mistake that I made. So, I did all right after that, and maybe sometimes a loss can help. But in his particular case, I think we need a win here just to help the overall sport. But it'll all depend on the framework of the mind of the Lehigh wrestler, just whether he's in the match or not. And you'll know after about any time in the match, but if the Lehigh wrestler can stay in it for 5 minutes mentally, he'll see a light at the end, and then he has a chance to win.
This is the only young man that has actually gone the distance with Cael Sanderson. He did lose 2 matches to him earlier in the season, but as you mentioned, his mind has to be right. But does Cael then have anything to worry about, because this is the only kid that went the distance?
Oh, I think he has something to worry about, just from the standpoint of making sure that he's ready to go and can represent his ability. His ability is high, and he will probably win the match if he can represent his ability. But a lot goes on in your mind before the match, and if he loses any kind of strength or stamina because of nervousness or tension, then Trenge has a chance.
Well, Dan, it's been a pleasure to have you on our show today, and what you did for the sport is unmatched, and we are about to see what Cael can do as well.
We certainly can, and hopefully that he can do some more things after this as well.
Thank you so much.
Stacey also thanks to Dan for the subtle reminder from 32 years ago this weekend. He came in 99-0 and left 99-1. Joe Heskett has something to prove when we return to New York. 2 of them from Minnesota. As a team, they're 2-1 so far with their individual wrestlers. The surprise is the fact that Becker won that match against Bryan Snyder from Nebraska, who is the #1 seed. Overall, 126.5 points, leads Oklahoma in second place by 25 points. Very impressive. Of those teams, number 2 through 5, in the history of the NCAA National Championships, 230 top 10 finishes by those 4 schools. But look at Minnesota. They won last year. They're the favorite to repeat here. 165 pounds now. This is round 2. Joe Heskett, who is the #1 seed, second the last 2 years in a row against Matt Lackey from Illinois, the #2 seed.
The match 2-2. Lackey had a takedown. Heskett got an escape, and then to start the second period off, Heskett got another escape to tie it, but it's Lackey right now in a position looking for a takedown. His head's up, good lifting position, but Heskett, great counter wrestler, locked through the legs.
Mark Johnson, the head coach at Illinois, really coached his man on to the first 2 points.
There's your first points, the top left in the first period, the initial takedown by Lackey. And as I said, Heskett had an escape, make it 2-1, and an escape at the start of this period makes it 2-2.
Significant because with a tie score, because he's scored the first 2 points, if we go beyond regulation time, Lackey immediately has the advantage.
That's correct. If it gets to the tiebreaker, which is to determine the winner, he will have the choice to whether to go up or down, and we already know that being down 90% of the time, you win.
Pace, make your pace. Keep your pace.
The voice of Mark Johnson, who was a Dan Gable assistant.
Keep rocking, relax at the end.
Mark Johnson, head coach at Illinois, Greco-Roman wrestler in his day, went to many tournaments with him, Olympian.
Frustrating for Heskett. Has to be second at the national championships the last 2 years. A 3-time Big 12 champion, but he seems to be chasing to me. He doesn't seem to be the man in control.
Oh, and Lackey able to maneuver out of bounds to avoid being taken down, and the referees don't say he was fleeing the mat. He was saying that's the only way you could go to counter that. Iowa State fans a little unhappy.
Bobby Douglas, his head coach, didn't like it.
Well, you like to reward the offensive man, but you don't want to take everything away from the defense.
Didn't want to be unfair to Heskett, saying he seemed to be chasing, because Lackey was opportunistic there.
He took advantage of the line, there's no question, but you're allowed to do that in our folklore or high school college style.
19 pins this year for Heskett. Very forceful wrestler. These are the NCAA National Wrestling Championships in Albany, New York. Adrian Karsten, Jeff Blatnick, and Stacy Pates, along with Bobby Douglas on a huge day for him. We've been talking about Cael Sanderson, the opportunity to go undefeated with 4 national championships, never been done. Not in the history of any sport.
Heskett, a 2-time runner-up. He certainly would like to end the jinx on his shoulders. He's performed well in the finals, but he's never been crowned champion. He'd sure like that this year, but Lackey able to get on the board first. He got the first takedown, Adrian. 2 escapes for Heskett is not a disc score, and I really think what you're seeing here is going to be a match that's probably going to go to overtime or sudden victory, along with a tiebreaker, and Lackey will have the choice in the tiebreaker.
Heskett in the red singlet gets in close.
Joe! Pull it down.
They go out of bounds there, so they're coming back in.
Doing exactly what his coach is telling him to. He comes in low, and then that lifting ability, trying to get Lackey up above him.
They're also saying for Heskett to pull Lackey into his own legs so that he can play the counter game with him there. And importantly for Iowa State, they're in 3rd place right now. But if they can get a win here and a win from Sanderson, they can take over 2nd place from Oklahoma.
Lackey is the 2002 Big Ten champion at 165. Well, he's been playing with that wide open blue space, though, hasn't he, throughout the entire match?
His only loss this year, Lackey's, is to Heskett, so these two know each other. And thus far, it's been a very conservative match. Oh, Lackey, and on a beautiful single leg, and he loses it. Oh, Lackey had a great position and lost it. Heskett with a good counter, able to avoid a dangerous situation.
Come on.
Lackey actually created a very good attack there, Adrian. He isolated the leg, got the weight on it, was able to get to it, but he couldn't hang on, and that attests to how powerful the leverage is of Heskett with his legs. And again, same thing. Look at him just straighten that leg out and push Lackey away, and now he's in on Lackey, and it looks as though he's going to be able to score here. Looks, he's got it right there.
2 points.
4-2 the match score now. And that's going to do it.
For Joe Heskett, who really came in with something
it
to
off
prove.
his shoulders.
Second the last 2 years. Congratulations to Joe Heskett. You know, Matt Lackey seemed to be wrestling not to lose throughout the second and third periods. He missed that single leg takedown, and because he did, all of a sudden, it seemed that Joe Heskett, 38-1 this year, just 1-0 against Matt Lackey, the Big Ten champion at 165. You gotta feel good for Joe Heskett.
Absolutely.
Great coaching job by Bobby Douglas.
Yes, sir. And I'll tell you, Illinois actually had him well scouted. They said, keep him off your ankles. And right there, that is how Heskett did it. Right at the end, off of a Lackey attack, as Lackey came up to his feet, Heskett came right back after him, counterattack, able to get the legs, seize him up, and right there, get the winning takedown.
This is looking like a very good day for Bobby Douglas. Don't forget, Cael Sanderson at 197 is just a couple of weight classifications away.
And with that victory, ISU edges closer to a second-place finish as a team.
Stacy, this is not only a national championship for 2002, but vindication for the last 2 years.
It is vindication. You know, as he came off the mat, I asked him, I said, man, you did it. Do you realize you did it? And he said it was about time. But, Joe, I have another question for you. What is your strongest emotion right now? Is it relief or joy?
It's 100% of each. Right now, it's real exciting. You know, I've worked too hard to come up short this year. And I'm real relieved, real excited. It's time to move on. God bless my family and friends. Thank you very much.
A 3-time Big 12 champion, now a first-time national champion. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Love you,
Stacy,
Graham.
by getting low and changing levels, Joe Heskett vindicates the past. 174 pounds and a hometown hero, Greg Parker from Princeton. But he is at the disadvantage in the first period. He hurt one of the ribs high into the right side of his rib cage. Therefore, Greg Jones from West Virginia has the advantage right now. He's in the blue singlet, up by 2 points.
In the first period, it was Jones scoring first, and he did so. Parker underneath trying to hang on to Jones's legs, got twisted, and it seemed as though he injured his chest, perhaps a rib, and that has caused him some discomfort through this match, but it's been Jones thus far that's been doing the better wrestling, and right there getting the second takedown to get to a 4-2 lead. Both of Parker's points have been escapes, and they go out of bounds, and they'll start back in the center. Parker, just the 5th Princeton wrestler to get to the championship match here at the NCAA tournament. Greg Jones, a freshman, has a 23-in-a-row match streak going, second only to his brother's mark at West Virginia University of 24.
Stacey, you have more on that injury and how this has affected Parker.
I spoke to a medical practitioner just after he spoke with Greg on the mat. He said he's had a little bleeding through the nose, and it seems to him that the rib just popped out a little bit. Now that it's not as bad as that sounds. It's just a bruise, and as you can see, guys, he's gutting it out.
Good work, Stacy. You know, ever since then, I think Jones from West Virginia has been trying to get Parker up off the mat. Good, clean wrestling. He doesn't want to take advantage of that injury, but if he can augment his opportunities here, that's what he wants to do. Stacy, good hustle.
Two leaning on each other an awful lot. To me, it seems that Jones is a little bit quicker. Parker, much more deliberate, much more of a grinder wrestler. Much like Heskett, who just won for Iowa State. That's the style of Parker. But this freshman from Pennsylvania wrestling for Greg Turnbull at West Virginia University is something special. He's got a lot of talent, extremely quick, and it seems his conditioning is good. And he comes from a family of wrestlers. Vertus Jones, a 3-time All-American, his brother at West Virginia.
10 seconds.
With that amount of time to go, a 3-point lead for Jones from West Virginia.
Get it. Cross face. One drag.
Good scramble. Great scramble there. No points.
In 2 minutes, this could be a huge moment for the 19-year-old freshman from West Virginia, Greg Jones.
Greg Parker right up the road here from Albany at Shenendehowa High School. I actually watched him develop, watch him win his state championship. He trains at the local club. His coach back then, Stan Harper and Rob Week. His coach now at Princeton, Mike New.
He's been hurt since the first period. Hence the 2-point deficit, but you know what? He's still in here.
5'3".
Yeah, and he looks stronger now than he did right after that injury. Although, again, Jones trying to get him up on the air. And there's 2 points for the takedown.
And Parker tried a real unorthodox attempt at countering that, diving between his own legs to snare Jones's ankle, but Jones too quick, prepared for it. Avoids it, gets the takedown. Got to a 7-3 lead. Now with that Parker escape, 7-4. Parker also faces riding time. Jones has accrued over a minute. That's another point for the West Virginia wrestler.
Jones
Parker faces an uphill battle now.
Kind of face masking him, almost literally to say in your face. He's just kind of pushing him away.
Keeping the distance.
I'm in charge here.
Measuring the distance, not letting Parker too close. And Parker's got to become desperate now. We're down to a minute, and he's got to make up at least now 4 points. Well, not quite. He doesn't quite have riding time. Excuse me. So the score is 7-4. Needs at least a 4-point move, though.
He's fighting the clock. He's fighting injury. He's fighting Jones.
Hand fight. Move. Wrestle. You must wrestle.
A 3-time New York State finalist is Greg Parker. He won one. And he's also a story of he's grown quite a bit. He used to be a lightweight, now all the way up to 174 pounds. And Jones continues to dominate. Wow. A redshirt freshman, as was Cael Sanderson. Who knows? Could Greg Jones be the next Sanderson as a freshman? Leading 9-5. A few seconds left, Adrian.
What a moment for a freshman. Holy cow. A national champion at 174 pounds. Parker was fighting, as I say, not only the injury from the first period, but then the clock, and then Jones, who really took advantage of a situation he knew of. He didn't exploit the injury of Parker. And a very kind gesture by Jones going over to shake the hand of the Princeton staff and hugs from his coaches. Well-deserved national championship at 174 pounds for the young man from Slickville, Pennsylvania. We'll be back to Albany and more of the NCAA Division I Wrestling. Expect to see Jeff Blatnick on one of those two-wheelers. It's the EA Sports Supercross Series, Sunday at 3 Eastern, noon Pacific on ABC Sports. I wouldn't have room to ride along even if there was a sidecar with Blatnick. This is round 2 of the 184-pound division. Rob Rohn from Lehigh, the senior in the brown singlet, versus Josh Lambrecht, his nemesis from Oklahoma, a junior. These two have a history. They saw each other twice earlier this year. They're 1-1.
Get that arm back. Get that arm back.
There was Rohn being defeated by Lambrecht at last year's NCAA tournament, but he got revenge at this year's national duels. They're 1-1. And Rohn actually started out first with the offense. He was able to get in on the legs of Lambrecht. Right here you see it, a real hard fight here. Lifting, turning in, and right there you'll see him hook the ankle right there, and that gave him the takedown. We went up 2-0. Lambrecht got 2 escapes, one in the first period, one here at the start of the second, and not to score 2-2, and we're scrambling again here.
These two wrestlers probably know each other as well as any other match that we have seen so far, and because of that, we've seen a lot of action. One offensive move will predicate a defensive move. You can always be on your toes or literally sometimes on your heels and know exactly what the other wrestler is doing. Point right there. You see how much action there is because they kind of know what the other is used to doing.
And Lambrecht not only getting the reversal, but now has back points. At least 2. No, he's got 3. He held him for the 5 count. Got him for the full 5-second count. That gives 3 points. And he's got him again. Nope. Yeah, there's at least 2 now. And there's another 3 points for Lambrecht. And he's blowing this match open.
3 points for Lambrecht.
10-2 now the score. And the Oklahomans got some breathing room.
He's been to the Nationals the last 2 years in a row. The 2000 Southern Conference champion. Then he transferred, of course, All-American last year. In the 184-pound division, Adrian Karsten, Jeff Blatnick, and Stacy Pates, as we anticipate wrestling history in our next weight classification. But before then, we're looking at a 10-point lead in the third period for Josh Lambrecht, who is about to win a national championship. His first as a junior from Oklahoma.
We've still got some time left here, but it's a big lead. 12-2, now 14-2, and Lambrecht just seems to be piling on. Sometimes styles clash, and what really has been the difference is on top. Lambrecht has turned Rohn three times for back points, and he's blown this match open 14-3. Rohn from Lehigh, coached by Greg Strobel, and he's got him on his back in danger. And things happen quickly here. Rohn looking for the fall against Lambrecht of Oklahoma. Plenty of time, over a minute.
What a huge move for Rohn, who is down by 10 points. He may have it.
He took the reverse headlock the opposite way and totally caught Lambrecht by surprise.
5 counts inside the 45-degree mark would give him the match. A huge change.
And there's lots of time, still 40 seconds.
Rohn from Lehigh on top was down by 10. He's going for the pin.
And that's what he has to do. And watch for Rohn to start circling to his left. I don't like stepping over. He ain't going to get it done there. He's got to move to the outside, circle to the head to bring that shoulder down. There it is. He's getting close.
13,000 people here at the Pepsi Arena looking for the first pin of the 2002 NCAA National Championship.
There it is.
He's got it. What a huge turnaround from the young man from Lehigh University. Down by 10 points, Jeff. What a huge turnaround. I got to eat my words, Jeff. I said Lambrecht was about to win a national championship as a junior. That's why I love collegiate competition.
Without question, Rohn never gave up.
Mental and physical discipline by the underdog, down by 10 points. What a beautiful, beautiful job by Rob Rohn, the senior from Lehigh.
And this place has just gone nuts. This might be the loudest applause thus far we heard tonight. He was facing certain defeat, and he never gave up, got the pin.
Well, Stacy, he looks a little bit beat up, but I think he can get through the smile.
He is a little bit beat up, but I don't think that matters. Who cares at this point? My goodness, you were down by more than 10 points to come back and get a pin. The first one of the 2002 National Championships. What do you say?
Nothing, really. This has been a really weird tournament for me. I mean, almost every match I've done things that I haven't done during the year, but it worked, so I can't say anything about it.
Could you ever ask for anything more? This is the period on your senior year.
I know. I'm just happy as hell right now. I'm pretty much speechless.
Congratulations, guys. He is speechless, but can't blame him.
Jeff kicked Karsten to the backside. Oh, yeah, Lambrecht's about to win the national championship. Ron!
Right there. Look at that.
We talked about how well these wrestlers know each other, and they know each other's moves. He took advantage of it, did Rohn.
What he did right here is classic textbook. He knew he had time. He secures the hold, kills all momentum, and then he got out to the side. The leverage brings that shoulder down, earns the fall. Stunning, stunning comeback.
Classic textbook. This is a payoff for a head coach.
That's Greg Strobel. He was an Olympic coach, and he's brought Lehigh back to the forefront.
A victory classic textbook now open the history books to a blank page and sharpen the pencil. Cael Sanderson may be about to make history.
In the summer of 2001, 5 of the world's leading authorities on high performance.
Just a collegiate race over a mile in length. Mark Spitz's NCAA and Olympic swimming conquests are legendary. Edwin Moses' final commandment, go 10 years and 122 consecutive hurdle events without a defeat. Well, now Cael Sanderson may reach the highest amateur athletic achievement. Perfection is possible. His father coached him. His brothers pushed him. He's dominated his opponents since he was 9 years old. Unlike other near-perfect young athletes, Cael wasn't humbled when he entered college. Iowa State, nonetheless. 39-0 and national champ as a freshman. 40-0 as a sophomore, another title closing in on history. In 2001, he smashed Dan Gable's 31-year record for consecutive victories, tacked on 40 more wins and a third national title at 184 pounds. Well, this season, he moved up to 197. He got engaged to girlfriend Kelly Kennard and defeated 39 more opponents. 158 in all have taken him on. He has taken them down. With 84 gold medalists Jeff Blatnick and Stacy Pates, I'm Adrian Karsten. We have been wrestling with words all day long on how to set this up. It was 32 years ago this weekend that when Dan Gable, the name synonymous with national championships, lost at 99-0 his very last match as a senior. You saw the record of Cael Sanderson. No athlete in the history of college competition has gone undefeated with 4 national championships. You could be watching history, though.
I too have been wrestling with words how to describe him. Phenomenal, unique, unprecedented.
13,000 plus come to their feet here at the Pepsi Arena in Albany, New York. There is nothing in the history of sports. Mark Spitz, Edwin Moses, Eric Heiden. They all did their things for different medals at different times, at different places, in different times. And the amount of time they had to compete. We're looking at most here, probably 7 minutes for a young man from Iowa State, and fittingly, Dan Gable came from Iowa State. We spoke with him earlier on. He wishes him nothing but the best. But remember, 32 weekends, or 32 years ago this weekend, 99-0, in comes Dan Gable, and he lost to Larry Owens.
Big upset. And I'll tell you what, that motivated Gable to go out and win the Worlds, win the Olympics, and then as a coach, win 15, 16 national titles for Iowa. And you almost have to wonder if Cael Sanderson has a poster in his room. I am not Dan Gable, because they compare him to him. But his opponent here, John Trenge, Sanderson has dominated everybody. Pinned, technical fall, or forfeit. There's only 2 matches he didn't do it. He won by 10 and then 6-1, and it was against this man, John Trenge of Lehigh.
For the NCAA National Championship at 197 pounds, Cael Sanderson trying to make history in the red singlet from Iowa State, and John Trenge from Lehigh. A sophomore versus obviously the senior.
One other important thing to note here, first time today that I've seen it, but Lehigh with Greg Strobel and Bobby Douglas of Iowa State, they have both been Olympic coaches. And it's the first time 2 Olympic coaches have been sitting in opposite corners, looking at one another with their athletes on the mat.
They're trying to win on points. 2 for a takedown, 2 for a reversal, 2 for a near fall, 3 points for a fall, practically the pin, and 1 point for an escape. Now keep in mind 2 things. So far in competition, John Trenge has pinned his first 3 opponents. No one other wrestler out of 320 odd or 330 have done that. The closest match that Sanderson had this year was against this man, John Trenge. What a match.
This 6-1 match that I witnessed at the Coaches Association Classic, sort of an all-star match in wrestling. Trenge was ultra-conservative. He learned the first time going out and trying to mix it up with Sanderson. He lost by over 10. Second time he tried conservative, and he kept the match close. But there's no denying Sanderson. He gets on the board first. He may get back points. He does have back points.
Is it speed? Is it strength? Is it a combination?
It is all of the above. He isn't strong in one area and uses it to his advantage. He's strong in every area. And that's what has set him apart. That is what has made him unique.
Boy, he's going to get this. There is no holding back here whatsoever. I don't think that there is any other sport, collegiate or otherwise, that demands more discipline, physically or mentally. That in the person you see is Mom Debbie and the rest of his family.
What a way to go out with a fall. What a way to go out in a collegiate season. Gable said it best. Cael has brought to wrestling a whole new tactical and technical area. He is something new. He is an evolution.
Undefeated, potentially a 4th consecutive national championship. Both Gable and Sanderson from Iowa State.
Steve Sanderson, his father.
Recording the moment, obviously.
And he was the coach at Wasatch High School in Heber City, Utah, in which all the brothers, Cody, Cole, Cael, and Kyler, who just won a state title in high school, came through.
Another name synonymous with national championships, the head coach from Iowa State, Bobby Douglas, has been around practically forever. He's done a beautiful job with all of his athletes here today. But what a golden moment for Bobby Douglas. Technically, look at Sanderson. There's Bobby. Going for the ball.
Watch Sanderson come again. There it is. Unbelievable how consistent, aggressive, and he doesn't cut you a break. Not at all. He's always on you.
I will say this. In our previous match at 184 pounds, there was a Lehigh wrestler who was down by 10 points, came back and pinned his opponent. It shocked this entire house. Anything is possible.
Anything is possible, and here you see Trenge now working hard to get back in the match.
Sanderson trying to put his picture in the history books when we return.
Moo.
For an incredible bargain on a computer, just call 1-800-GATEWAY. Because right now, you can get a Gateway 300 LE desktop fully loaded with an Intel Celeron processor, CD burner, and a monitor, all for just $5.99. That's right, a Gateway computer with a CD burner and a monitor for just $5.99. But hurry, this deal won't last forever. So call 1-800-GATEWAY today. That's 1-800-GATEWAY.
Any grill can cook a steak, but can it handle a pancake? The Big Easy can. From Charbroil, keepers of the flame.
Now you can get the Pizzone Power Pack from Pizza Hut. Woo! Your choice of Pizzone, the pizza you eat like a sandwich. A 2-liter Pepsi and 5 breadsticks for $8.99.
We are practically 4 minutes away from making history. If Cael Sanderson, the senior from Iowa State, undefeated at this point, 158 wins, no losses, can do something. Otherwise, he will try and end this before the end of the third period, before the end of regulation. His opponent, John Trenge. They know each other well. Trenge here since Thursday pinned his first 3 opponents. Very impressive. No other wrestler has even come close to that. There goes Sanderson. Look at the speed. Shooting low, going for the ankles of Trenge from Lehigh.
That is his signature move, is the ankle pick, and he caught Trenge with it. Trenge fully aware that's what he likes to do, but Trenge has to get on his horse. He's down 9-2. He knows he needs to score points, and as he becomes more offensive, believe it or not, Cael Sanderson becomes more dangerous.
3-time NCAA champion at 184. Then he bulked up to 197. 4-time Big 12 champion. 2-time academic All-American. Most impressive and most important, 2-0 against John Trenge.
Well, Sanderson likes to hunt and fish. I wonder if he does catch and release. I kind of doubt it. And I'll tell you, he's one of the most quiet and unassuming and humble individuals you'll ever meet. The only time I ever saw him get emotional after one of his championships was as a freshman, when that might have been really big and bright. After that, it's been all business.
Well, he's trying to catch a whopper here, and if he lands this one, he better have more than 197-pound test line, I'll say that.
And if anybody's wondering what he's going to do when he's done, he's already made the comment. The Olympics are what separate the great wrestlers from the good ones. So he was already on this year's world team, but because of 9/11, Madison Square Garden was going to host the World Championships in September. That all got canceled, and Cael decided at that point he would focus on his college season rather than wrestle in the rescheduled ones in December. And he has been on course and focused.
His father pushed him, his brothers pushed him, coached him, supported him, as did his entire family.
20 seconds.
What a moment for them. Look at the intense look on both their faces. Dad's got one eye open, one eye closed. Mom might have both closed here in just a few moments.
Well, rumor had it that while they roughhouse, though they were told not to roughhouse in the house, supposedly Debbie did a little wrestling with all of the sons at one point or another.
The living room is not a playground.
And Bobby Douglas said she's the alpha of the house. So you got to wonder. It's in the family, it's in their blood, and it's certainly demonstrated by Cael Sanderson's skill and heart.
Again, we say we've been wrestling with words. Imagine this moment. This has never happened. Undefeated. The name Dan Gable. When you mention wrestling, people think Dan Gable. The next Dan Gable, his record potentially is going to be better. But after this victory, what is next for a Sanderson after the Olympics? There is no, quote, professional wrestling league. You can't be drafted.
No, it'll be Olympic-style wrestling. He'll probably wrestle in a couple world championships if he continues to develop. And I'm sure he's looking at his main goal right now, 2004 in Athens, Greece.
Drive his head down, drive his head down, drive his head down, drive that head down, pull it across your knee.
You hear Greg Strobel saying to Trenge, drive Sanderson's head down, keep him down, don't let him get a head up and start moving around. Sanderson does it with motion. He doesn't do it with brute force. He moves in a different speed.
Kelly Kennard, very influential in his life.
Stand!
His fiance, and the voice and face of Bobby Douglas, his head coach, with 1 minute, 10 seconds left to go to a fourth consecutive NCAA national championship.
And here he comes. Just as Trenge seems to be holding Sanderson down, Sanderson erupts, gets a reversal, 11-3 now the score.
I'm looking at the faces of the 13,000 plus around this Pepsi arena. They're anticipating the moment. They will know where they were when this happened.
It's almost as though they expect it. It's almost as though, and I'm not saying they're rooting against John Trenge. Everybody loves to see the big upset as well. But it's just this overwhelming force. Year after year, people thought, well, somebody will have his number. But no one has been able to add up the numbers to find the answer to Cael Sanderson.
Now go. Put your arm back. Good. Let's go. Lock him up. Let's go. Lock them up, let's go.
As if you could put a lock and key around Sanderson.
What he's saying is get an upper body lock and go for broke. There's nothing to lose. If you're going to lose, you lose. So might as well go for broke. Get up there, lock upper body, and try to throw Sanderson to his back and do what his teammate Rohn did. Come back from a big point deficit with the fall. But that's all it's going to take now. 16 seconds to history.
One of the first men on the mat, besides Bobby Douglas, his head coach, I can promise you, besides Jeff Blatnick, who was on his way to congratulate Cael Sanderson, is going to be Dan Gable. What a story. Both wrestlers from Iowa State. The dynasty, the history. The first man in the history of athletic competition to go undefeated. Never a loss. 159 wins. No losses. 4 consecutive national championships. Cael Sanderson from Iowa State University. Olympic gold medalist and a history maker. Jeff Blatnick and Cael Sanderson.
Jeff Blatnick with a victorious Cael Sanderson. You're the second to win 4 national titles, but you're the first to go undefeated. 159-0.
I don't know what to say. I'm pretty happy. This is very, very nice. Great.
Do you realize the enormity of your accomplishment?
I just know that I'm tired. I'm getting old. That's all I know. It's been a lot of fun, though.
Bobby Douglas said there's just been a ton of pressure. How did you deal with it?
Not very well. I just tried to stay focused on my next match as hard as it was, but I was real lucky.
Well, you don't look like you're old at all. What's next now after this?
I don't know. I'm going to sneak off and take my brother taking fishing or something. I don't know.
How about the sport of wrestling? What's next for you there?
Oh, wrestling. I'm going to start training in about a week, less than a week. Get ready for freestyle. So that should be fun.
Well, Dan Gable was said to be the coach and the wrestler of the 21st century. You definitely, at the start of millennium, your name is synonymous with collegiate wrestling.
I've just been really fortunate. The amount of support I've had is it's unbelievable. You know, that's what it takes.
How important has been your family in this entire process?
Undescribable. I'm always looking for them whenever times are rough, and I don't know, it's hard to describe.
We heard your brother was chaperone. How tough has this been for your coach, and how important has he been in your career?
He's a phenomenal coach. He's brought me along so well. He's just a great man. He's a great friend, great person.
Now, we understand there's still another Sanderson coming. How important was this to your youngest brother?
Probably just going to put a little more pressure on him in his upcoming years, but he's having fun. He loves wrestling, and he's going to end up getting the same kind of love and support that I got from my family. So.
Well, the adulation of the crowd here at the Pepsi Arena is with you, and we actually have heard now there's actually promotions out with your name and likely lists, including a bobblehead down.
Yeah, it's kind of embarrassing. I try not to comment too much on that. It's kind of hard to talk about. It's kind of weird. But it's our marketing department, Thad Dorn, did a real nice job for me this year. He promoted me and our team real well, and I appreciated his effort.
Well, my last question to you is, express to our fans, what do you think makes you different from all the other wrestlers here?
Just a lot of luck, and just having the support from my family, and the competitiveness we had growing up, and just everything. It's just all about family. It's all about family.
Now, certainly the family has treated you well. Cael Sanderson, the first undefeated collegiate wrestler in NCAA history. Back to you, Adrian.
Jeff, it is all about family, and they're standing close by. 4 or 5 of the members, original family. Congratulations, Cael Sanderson. He's making his way to Stacy right now with the whole family. What a moment. Stacy.
Here you go, Greg.
Stacy, you're with Cael and his family.
You want to go up in the middle of the mall right here.
Debbie, such a proud moment for a mother. When I spoke to Dan Gable, he said that your son was well on his way to being the best collegiate wrestler the world has ever seen. How do you, as a mother, respond to such praise from a wrestling icon?
Well, it makes you really proud, and Dan Gable is, right now, the greatest, so I think that's quite a compliment.
Absolutely it is. And also, when I spoke to you, if your son was a basketball player, Cael would be pretty much ready to sign a 7-digit signing bonus right now. But
I could be driving a BMW.
And you could be driving a BMW. That's what I'm talking about. But because it is the sport of wrestling, how do you instill in your sons that you do the best you can do in everything you do?
I don't know. You just teach them to whatever they choose to do, to go after it and give it all they've got and don't hold back. And then you never look back and regret anything, as long as you give it all you've got.
And you may not be getting that BMW very soon.
Oh, I won't. I'm not.
But
I'd get too many tickets anyway.
But can you put a price tag on this moment for Cael?
No way. You can't. Money doesn't buy this kind of stuff. Money doesn't buy happiness. Oh, this is great.
I know that you're one of those mothers that doesn't like whiners. I think that a lot of his mental toughness probably comes from you. You always tell him to get up, get out there, and do the best he can do. And you're not showing a lot of emotion right now. Will you cry later, or are you just this tough?
I'm just relieved. I was worried about this kid. He's tough, and boy, a lot of pressure. It can change your style, but he went out and got things done. I'm so proud of him. He did what he needed to, and that's great.
And we congratulate you, Debbie, and your family, the Sanderson family. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Let's go back to the booth.
In no other sport can you score as few number of points in a shorter period of time, with more emotion and with more dedication, and win a national championship in the hearts of America than NCAA wrestling. History has been made in Albany, New York.
Discover what it means to be a champion. The journey begins inside.
And now, current Pontiac Smart Lease lessees can get a 2002 Grand Am SE for around $239 a month. Call for lease details. No wonder they want drivers. Grand Am SE beats Jetta GL. Pass it on. See your local Pontiac dealer.
Now, held over by popular demand, the Chrysler Great American Getaway. Your chance to get away in our award-winning minivans with our 7-year, 100,000-mile powertrain pledge. Plus, we've extended our minivan bonus through April 1st. So with a cash allowance, you can save $3,000 or get 0% financing. So hurry in for great products, great protection, and great value. That's the Chrysler Advantage.
Well, from a collegiate standpoint, Cael has come to the end of his road. From his freshman year until today, 159 matches, he didn't lose a one. 4 times a national champion. Finally, the heavyweights compete. Tommy Rowlands of Ohio State and Steve Mocco from Iowa. But I have to tell you, we're all just kind of sitting around shaking our heads in disbelief from what we just saw. What an accomplishment. To say we wrestled with words to try to describe it, I think we're still doing the same thing. And you're going to take me down probably and get the points.
I really think the crowd has a hangover from, the excitement and the adulation that they gave them. But there's 2 good athletes out here, both young for heavyweight. And what last year was thought to be maybe a weak weight class at heavyweight, this year it's turned out that it's one of the strongest. They're all young, they're all mobile, and none of them are really head or shoulders above the rest. They have to go out there and earn it. But Rowlands lost on the tiebreaker in last year's final to Lockhart of Illinois, and Mocco was probably the most heavily recruited athlete in the country this past year. He made his choice from Blair Academy to the University of Iowa.
These behemoths are 285 plus. I remember 285. Heck, when I was playing with that brown ball and the white laces, I remember 307. Things have changed, Mr. Blattnick.
Yes, they have. And the heavyweights tend now to be a little bit smaller than that 286, but much more mobile. Not the typical push, shove, one-move affair, but a lot more motion.
Surprised to see 2 underclassmen here, a freshman and a sophomore?
In a way, I am, but at the same time, I'm not because of their talent level. Rowlands was here last year. This is his 2nd straight final. Coach from Iowa's coached by Jim Selesky, 3-time national champion, and the Ohio State Buckeyes, coached by a guy named Russ Hellickson, silver medalist in '76. He was an 80 Olympian. I had the fortunate time to train, well, maybe it was a little unfortunate at the time to train with him. Very good wrestler, but he also did the commentary for my match at the Olympics, and then I work with him doing Olympic commentary now.
As big as these 2 young men are, I take us back to the 125 weight pound classification. The kind of moves we saw then, they're not quite as quick, but they're as agile. And they make the same kind of moves, and they get the same kind of holds as quickly as even the lighter guys.
I had a friend who said, heavyweight class is different. And I looked at him, I said, I do the same moves. He looked at me, he goes, no, your weight class is different. But these athletes tend to show that it isn't. They do a lot of the same moves that the lightweights do. It just seems heavyweight's a little more final. You get a guy on your back at heavyweight, it usually ends. 4-time national champion at Blair Academy was Mocco. Storied youth career. But he's with the big boys now, and he's showing he can hang with them. Rowlands has got his hands full.
He does. They've wrestled 3 times prior. This is their 4th match, and Rowlands is trying to even the score. He's 1-2 against Mocco this past season.
Now, both are a little conservative. They haven't taken the amount of shots that they normally do in a match. Mocco with a bit of an attempt there, but really didn't commit to the penetration step. And once again, there's a setup, and then you got to get to the hold. And to get underneath your opponent, you need a good penetration step, and then the finish. And they haven't really gotten past the setup stage here. There's a shot by Rowland, but he never got to the leg, and Mocco was waiting, nearly turned the corner.
You feel the table just shake here when they both went down? I mean, that's practically 600 pounds of bad behavior right there.
And Tommy Rowland with 2 leg attacks, but never even got to grab the leg of Mocco.
We're very close. This is many times what happens.
Mocco may get him. No. Rowland's able to come up, and now he's got a single. He could get a takedown here in the last 10 seconds.
Remember, Rowland scored first.
Out of bounds. Mocco survives. Rowland needs to try again. 9 seconds remain. Oh, foot sweep by Mocco, but he gives him the leg in the process.
Couldn't complete the move quickly enough.
No, and Rowlands just can't seem to deal with the leverage of that left leg of Mocco. He can't pull it in. Mocco counters him out. We go to 1 minute of sudden victory.
The situation
First point wins.
I really don't know who has the advantage here yet. I know that Rowlands scored first early on. I don't see any fatigue. Perhaps most evenly matched situation we have seen all day.
Rowlands seems to me to be a little bit more tired. Mocco is standing straight up and just driving into Rowlands and pushing him around now. I wonder if Rowlands spent himself with those 2-3 shots at the end of regulation.
I got to tell you, Mocco had that look when he came out. You know, I didn't see him out here when Sanderson made history. He really hid himself. I did, however, see Rowlands, and I thought that was very interesting.
Crowd yelling here. They don't like to see Rowlands push out of bounds. And when I say crowd, I mean those yellow and black Iowa fans that occupy the whole corner of this arena.
Mocco's victory wouldn't mean a whole lot in the Hawkeye situation as far as team points is concerned.
Well, they love a national champion. No, they want a national champion.
Yep. And they've had their opportunities today, but haven't been able to come through.
Double leg blast attempt by Rowlands. No setup really there, and Mocco able to counter. Rowlands, really a great athlete. Last year, a lot of attacking, a lot of shooting. He really wasn't able to score, but very, very aggressive.
Now, Rowlands scored first, even though it wasn't 2 points. Does he have the advantage now as we go to the tiebreak?
Well, here we go. This is the advantage. Green won the coin toss. You can bet Mocco's going to choose down. Yep. And once again, Rowlands is facing a tiebreaker in the finals of the Nationals, stuck in the top position.
What a
Normally
day this
it's
has
an
been.
advantage, but 90% of the time they win from the bottom. He's got to ride him. Mocco's got to escape.
He's got to clear that leg, but Rowlands had the leverage there.
Now it gets dicey. There's the stalemate. If he does that again, he can hit for stalling, but right now there has been no stalling call.
Does Mocco need to shoot out with his feet more quickly?
Hand control first. When you get the hand control, that frees up your hips to do the moving. Look for him, head back, rounded shoulders. His hands will come up to try to intercept Rowlands' hands.
I figured he just tried to
right
sit
now,
out.
there it is.
He can turn him.
He's got to bring him back down to the mat. There's the stall call against Rowlands. Next one will result in a point. 11 seconds remain.
With the way this day has gone, with what we've seen Sanderson accomplish to go to the final 11 seconds to determine a national championship for 2 underclassmen at 1 point time. It's unbelievable. It's the NCAA.
Rowlands has got to return him to the mat. Got to return him to the mat. And that's going to do it. Rowlands is going to hang on. He's going to win it. Rowlands avenges last year's tiebreaker loss from the worst position possible.
Unbelievable.
On top.
I would have given it to Mocco, the freshman, right there. A 1-1 tie takes us to the tiebreaker. A stalling caution. Tommy Rowlands, the sophomore, beats the freshman as a heavyweight national champion. We'll be back with some final thoughts from Albany, New York, and the NCAAs in a moment.
Hey guys, grab a Diet Coke, do what feels good.
Audition.
Flirt. Entice. Indulge.
Smile.
Applaud.
You get a good feeling from great taste without the calories. Do something with it.
Win.
What could feel better than a chance at fame? Thanks to Diet Coke and Blockbuster, you could win a walk-on role in a big-time movie. Just look for a game piece inside specially marked multi-packs or multi-liters of Diet Coke to win. Give autographs. Diet Coke. Do what feels good. Mwah!
Sorry.
There are lots of ways to climb to the top. Achieve New Balance.
This is a bulletin from your Appetite Broadcasting System. Arby's has something tasty.
Introducing Arby's Market Fresh Turkey Ranch and Bacon.
A thick slice, very nice. Something sizzling. And sauce that's oh my.
Try Arby's new Market Fresh Turkey Ranch and Bacon. It'll change the way you think about fast food.
Give in to your grown-up taste.
Boys and girls, can anyone spell this?
This is Deuce Staley of the Philadelphia Eagles.
C-A-T.
Deuce helps the United Way build stronger communities by supporting local educational programs.
Deuce? Can you spell chrysanthemum?
Chrysanthemum? She got cat.
Does someone here need a timeout?
Chrysanthemum. C-H-R-Y-S-A-N-T-H-E-M-U-M. Chrysanthemum.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of the NCAA Wrestling Championships is brought to you by Coca-Cola and by New Balance, makers of performance footwear and apparel. Rah, rah, rah for Ski-U-Mah. 2 years in a row, the University of Minnesota Golden Gophers take that first-place team trophy back to Minneapolis, St. Paul. Interesting shortly to find out what Jay Robinson is going to have to say about what he has done against the states of Iowa and Oklahoma. By 22.5 points, they beat Iowa State. Sanderson's victory is what put them up into second position, then the Oklahomas and one more team from the Hawkeye State. Second year in a row, Minnesota wins the national championship. What does that mean for the future of the program? Their individuals 2-1 today, Stacy.
Coach Jay Robinson, from the inception of this tournament, the two states that are normally the winners of this event are Iowa, Oklahoma. And now you are indeed 2 in a row. Are you the beginning of a dynasty?
I think that's a lot to say, a dynasty, but I think that we made a statement that we're for real and that we came back and we defended our title, and that's what we wanted to do. We just wanted to say that last year wasn't a fluke.
Compare it to last year, because you are coming back with a great balance.
Well, we had good depth coming back, but our guys wrestled, but we wanted to push some guys in the finals. That was our goal this year, and we got 3 in the finals and 2 champions, so we feel really good about that.
Coach Robinson, congratulations, back-to-back national champions.
Thank you very much.
Jeff, honestly, my memory in wrestling, quite honestly, has always been your reaction when you fell to your knees after the '84 gold medal victory. Put what happened today in perspective with that. What does this mean?
Well, I guess the way I feel about it is people may think, hey, Albany's the area where Jeff Blatnick, Olympic champion, came from. Well, Jeff Blatnick, as an Olympic champion, is proud to say Albany is where Cael Sanderson made history.
An historic day for the sport and the family that this sport has become. Dave Barnett and Nancy Lieberman are standing by to call the women's NCAA basketball tournament. For Jeff Blatnick and Stacy Pates and our entire ESPN wrestling team, I'm Adrian Karsten. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com.
The number 1 seed in the Midwest, the Vanderbilt Commodores, about to take the court in Ames, Iowa, against the North Carolina Tar Heels. A trip to the Elite 8 up for grabs. Today, 16 teams dreamed of San Antonio in the Final Four. There are 4 left to play as the Sweet 16 continues.
Dish off, underneath, score!
And the party is just started. Rolling toward a national championship.
The building is erupting.
This is going to
Sweet 16 for the first